There's something about doing the same thing over and over with your hands that slows your brain down in a way nothing else really does. I've been thinking a lot lately about patience, not the kind people talk about in a motivational quote, the real kind, the kind that's quiet and unglamorous and honestly a little boring sometimes. So if you're watching this to unwind, I hope this feels like sitting with a friend. When I first started doing this work, I thought I just needed to get faster, get better, get to the point where everything just flows. And I did, eventually, but not in the way I expected. It didn't happen because I pushed harder. It happened because I showed up enough times that my hands just remembered. There's this moment in any craft, and I think it applies to a lot of things, not just beauty work, where you stop thinking about the steps and you just do it. And that moment doesn't come from talent, it comes from repetition. But here's the part no one tells you. Before that moment, there's a really long stretch of time where you feel like you're not improving at all. You show up, you do the work, you go home, and nothing feels different. And that stretch, that invisible stretch, is where most people quit. Not because they're not capable, but because they can't see the progress. And we're not really taught how to keep going when we can't see it. I think about this a lot when I'm working. My hands are moving, doing something I've done hundreds of times. And I think every single one of those times counted. Even the ones I don't remember. Even the bad ones. I read something once that stuck with me. The idea that repetition isn't just how we build skill, it's how we build trust in ourselves. Because every time you do something again, you're proving to yourself that you can. Not in a big dramatic way, just quietly. One more time. And I think that's actually really underrated. We talk a lot about confidence like it's something you either have or you don't. Like some people just wake up knowing they're capable, and the rest of us are just waiting to feel ready. But I don't think that's how it works. I think confidence is built in the same way skill is built, through showing up, through doing the thing even when you're not sure, through getting to the end of another day and realizing, okay, I did it again. There's something really grounding about work that lives in your hands because you can't fake it. You either did it or you didn't. The result is right there. And over time, that honesty, that realness, starts to carry over into how you see yourself. You start to trust your own hands. And then, slowly, you start to trust your own judgment, your own timeline, your own version of things. Repetition teaches you that, not loudly, just steadily. One thing I've had to unlearn, and honestly, I'm still working on it, is the idea that there's a right timeline for things. Like somewhere along the way, a lot of us picked up this invisible schedule. By this age, you should have this figured out. By this point, you should be further along. And if you're not, something must be wrong. I don't know where that schedule came from, but I know it's exhausting. Because the thing about building something slowly, whether it's a skill or a business or just a version of yourself you actually like, is that it almost never fits someone else's timeline, and the comparison isn't always obvious. It's not always looking at someone on social media and feeling bad. Sometimes it's quieter than that. It's a small voice in the back of your head saying, "Shouldn't you be further by now?" And I've noticed that voice gets louder on the days I'm tired, on the days the work feels repetitive, on the days nothing feels like it's moving. But I've started to catch it. And instead of arguing with it, I just ask, compared to what exactly? Compared to whose version of what this is supposed to look like? Because the people who seem to have it figured out, Most of them are also just doing the same thing you are, showing up, figuring it out as they go, just maybe further along in a timeline you don't have full visibility into. I think patience with your own timeline is actually one of the most radical things you can practice right now. Not because it's easy, but because everything around us is designed to make you feel behind. The algorithm, the highlight reels, the way success gets packaged and sold. Choosing to trust your own pace, quietly, without making a big deal of it, that's actually really hard and really worth it. I want to make a small distinction that I think matters a lot. Patience is not the same as waiting. Waiting is passive. Waiting is sitting still and hoping something changes. Waiting is putting your life on hold until conditions are better, until you feel more ready, until someone gives you permission to take up more space. Patience is different. Patience is continuing to move, slowly, maybe, but moving without needing the outcome to show up on your schedule. It's a subtle difference, but I think it changes everything about how the process feels. Because when you're just waiting, every day that passes without a result feels like a loss, like time you'll never get back. And that feeling is heavy. It makes the work feel pointless. But when you're practicing patience, real patience, you're not counting the days, you're just doing what's in front of you. And there's actually a kind of freedom in that. I think about this with the work I do. Every appointment, every set of hands I work on, I'm not waiting to be good enough. I'm just doing the work I can do today. And trusting that today's work is building something I can't fully see yet. And I think that applies to a lot of areas of life. If you're building something, a skill, a business, a new chapter, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep going. Not frantically, not desperately, just steadily. I'll be honest, slow progress doesn't feel good in the moment. We live in a world that really loves a glow up, a before and after. A moment where everything clicks and suddenly someone's life looks completely different. And when your progress doesn't look like that, when it's just another Tuesday, another day of work, another small step that no one's clapping for, it can feel like nothing is happening. But I've started to think of it differently. The days that no one sees, those are actually the most important ones, because they're the ones that happen without applause, without an audience, without any reward except the fact that you chose to keep going anyway. And that choice, made quietly, over and over, is what actually builds something real. I don't think most meaningful things in life are built in a moment. I think they're built in all the ordinary days in between, the ones that felt like nothing at the time. So if you're in one of those stretches right now where you're putting in the work and you can't quite see where it's going, I just want to say that's not a sign that it's not working. It might actually be a sign that something real is being built. Patience isn't passive, and it's one of the harder things you can choose to practice. Thanks for spending some time here today. I'll see you in the next one.